Hi, this is Miss Fazone, and this is our very last triangle lesson. Very excited. All right, so let's start with what are the 6 trig ratios? All right, I'm going to write them over here. So do you know all 6? Hopefully. Sine of theta equals opposite over hypotenuse, right? Cosine adjacent over hypotenuse. Tan opposite over adjacent. So those are the first 3. Those should be very straightforward at this point, hopefully. How about the other 3? Who knows the other 3? I'll write them over here. What's the reciprocal of sine? That's cosecant. Cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite. It's just the reciprocal. It's just the reciprocal of sine. What's the reciprocal of cosine? Secant. Secant of theta is hypotenuse over adjacent. And the reciprocal of tan is cotan. And that's adjacent over opposite. Okay, that's it. So make sure you have that down. Okay. All right. If sine of theta, let me zoom out. If sine of theta is 4 over 5, and theta is in quadrant 2, find the other 5 ratios. All right, so sine of theta is 4 over 5. What do you know about that 4 and that 5 then? If sine of theta is 4 over 5, what does this 4 represent on a triangle? That's your opposite, and the 5 is your hypotenuse. So I'm just going to draw myself a triangle. You can draw any triangle any way you want. I just always draw it like this, and I always put theta here. You don't have to. You can put theta up there, whatever your little heart desires. So my opposite side is 4, and my hypotenuse is 5. Now we need that third side, because we want to find cosine and everything. So we need the adjacent side also. Do you know it off the top of your head? That's the question. Hopefully you do. If you do, you can write it in. It's a 3. But if you don't know it, you can do the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. A squared plus 16 is 25. Subtract 16. A squared is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. Okay? All right, so now let's write the other 5, right? We have sine. So cosine, tan, cosecant, secant, cotan. All right. So looking at this triangle, this is your opposite. This is your hypotenuse. 3 is your adjacent. What's cosine of theta? That's your adjacent over hypotenuse, 3 over 5. Tangent. Tan is your opposite over adjacent, 4 over 3. All right, now what's cosecant? Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, so what is it? 5 over 4. I'm just going to flip it. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine, so it's 5 over 3. Hypotenuse over adjacent. And cotan is the reciprocal of tan. Adjacent over opposite, so 3 over 4. Now, I totally ignored one piece of information. What piece of information did I ignore? Quadrant 2. If we're in quadrant 2, remember from yesterday, all students take calculus. Quadrant 2, what's that S mean? It means sine is positive, right? Sine is positive, everything else is negative. So my sine is positive, but cosine's negative and tan is negative. If these are negative, what else is going to be negative? Well, it's reciprocal, right? So I'm going to make these both negative too. It does not matter where you put your negative, just put your negative in. Right? And that's it, we're done. All right. Number 2. Tan of theta is 12 over 5. That's a 12 and a 5. 90 is less than theta, which is less than 180. Find the other 5 ratios. All right, so I'm going to write sine, cosine, tan, cosecant, secant, cotan. And kind of box this in so I have space. I don't know. All right. And I know this is negative 12 over 5. Without doing any work, we can flip it, right? 5 over 12, and it's negative. I always put the negatives on top. It's just habit. You can put the negatives anywhere you want. Okay. All right, so now we need the other side, right? What's tangent? Tan is opposite over adjacent. So I'm going to make my triangle. Which way is opposite? Sorry. Opposite, adjacent. Clearly my triangle makes no sense, but that's okay. We're going to do Pythagorean theorem to find the third side. Again, if you know it, you can just write it. 12 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared. We're missing hypotenuse. 144 plus 25 is 169. Take the square root. And c is 13. Ooh, sorry. All right, so now we're going to fill in the other 4 that we're missing. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse.